Ever since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, Israel has looked after the Israelis very carefully. But when it comes to the Palestinians, it's another story. In particular, the Palestinians in occupied Jerusalem, al-Quds. Welcome to Palestine Files. I'm Wissam Bahrani. On this episode, we're going to focus on how the regime has once again used the coronavirus to expand its human rights abuses and other forms of aggression against the Palestinians, especially those in occupied Jerusalem, al-Quds. Israel has once again been accused of neglecting and intensifying its aggression in occupied Jerusalem, al-Quds, the capital of Palestine. As an occupying power, the regime has a legal, moral and ethical duty to provide for the needs of the citizens under its occupation and to protect them. However, using the COVID-19 pandemic, Tel Aviv is closing down Palestinian testing centers that help identify carriers of the coronavirus and help save lives. Israel alleges that these Palestinian institutions challenge its authority in the occupied city by cooperating with the Palestinian Authority. Israel considers meetings between Palestinian officials and doctors a violation of its occupation. The regime has also arrested senior Palestinian officials in the occupied Holy City, including the mayor. Israeli forces arrested Adnan Ghaith in a morning raid on his home. Tel Aviv has been occupying Jerusalem al-Quds since 1967 after capturing the Palestinian city through military force. Palestinian officials say the regime wants to reinforce the idea in people's minds that all of al-Quds is Israel's property. In other developments, Tel Aviv has approved hundreds of home demolitions in Silwan neighborhood of Jerusalem al-Quds. Hundreds of people face displacement from their homes, in line with Tel Aviv's policy of kicking out the Palestinians from the holy city. Here are the latest comments that you guys have posted regarding today's show, starting with Yusuf, who says, for those that aren't aware how this works, the Israeli army can beat and arrest you for no reason other than you look suspicious, which is the racist code word for Palestinian. Wow. Remy Kanazi says, while Palestinians battle coronavirus, Israel demolishes homes and conducts raids. While the pandemic spreads locally and globally, Israel hinders efforts to test Palestinians and stops them from disinfecting neighborhoods in Jerusalem. A pandemic has only exacerbated occupation. Count Wolf Gang says, I wish for Israel to stop the occupation and allow Palestine to be free. Meanwhile, Sinsarl says, isn't this an Israeli Holocaust against the Palestinians? Where are the human rights associations? Why do they shut up? These organizations are responsible for these heinous acts by the Israeli Nazi occupier. It is a shame that these organizations are double standards. While Daniel Howard says, horrible. The very creation of Israel was the worst geopolitical mistake of the 20th century. It never should have happened. This is what you get when Zionism exploits the victims of Nazism. Is like a man-made coronavirus with no cure in sight. And finally, to our last comment for this segment from the Palestinians Abroad Association, who say, despite the holy month of Ramadan and that coronavirus is spreading all over Palestine and hunting down many lives, this never stops. Israeli occupation crimes as they brutally assaulted and detained 3 Palestinian men from Jerusalem. Those were some of your posts on social media, and as always, we love to hear from the Palestinians themselves. So we're going to occupy Jerusalem al-Quds and give its occupied residents a voice.
يعني الاحتلال لا يدخر فرصة ولا يتوقف لحظة عن محاولة تهويد القدس واستهداف المقدسيين بشكل أساسي. الاحتلال يستهدف كل قطاعات الشعب الفلسطيني في القدس، يستهدف التعليم، يستهدف الصحة، يستهدف المواطن، يستهدف التاجر، يستهدف الاقتصاد، يستهدف كل ما له علاقة بالمدينة المقدسة من أجل إفراغها من سكانها. جاءت جائحة كورونا أيضا كعامل من العوامل، حيث أن العالم كله منشغل في هذه الجائحة، ولكن الاحتلال منشغل في عملية تهويد القدس، في عملية فرض سيطرته على المدينة المقدسة.
طبعا الاحتلال بيمنع يعني أي عملهم بيقوموا فيه الفلسطينيين داخل مدينة القدس لأجل مكافحة فيروس كورونا، وعماله بحد من عملهم وتطوعهم في سبيل الحد من انتشار الفيروس.
مدينة القدس وخصوصا يعني بلدة سلوان، احنا بنشوف على الإعلام بلدة سلوان دائما كل ليلة زي احتلال.
نحب ان نوجه رساله للكل انه يشوفوا المعاناه اللي بنعانيها، مع انهم هم على الاغلب يعني منهم جزء كبير عانوا نفس المعاناه قبل ما طلعوا، وبالناشد انهم يدعموا الاهل هون. يعني في كثير ناس مثلا هون محتاجين، اللي برا ممكن انهم يقدروا يساعدوهم. زي ما شفت اطلقنا منصه قبل شوي انه للتبرع، انه بندعو الكل انه يتبرع ويساعد اهلنا في فلسطين.
اجراءات الاحتلال ما بتتوقف ضمن ظروف معينه، بالعكس احنا بنشوفها تتصاعد كل مالها للامام، وبشكل خاص حاليا الظروف الظروف اللي بمر فيها شعبنا الفلسطيني في ظل ازمه الكورونا واستغلال دوله اسرائيل هاي الظروف من اجل مصادره بعض الاراضي ووضع القدس حاليا الداخل، وضع الاهالي في منطقه القدس ومدينه القدس. نتأمل أنه يكون في هناك تدخل دولي عاجل من أجل عدم مصادرة هاي الأراضي اللي في منطقة الأغوار، وبرضه محاولة أن مساعدة الأهالي القدس في صمودهم.
Bruce Katz is the co-president of Palestinian and Jewish Unity, and he joins us now. Bruce, welcome. I want to ask you, is Israel exploiting the situation in the occupied West Bank amid a coronavirus pandemic?
Well, if you look at the situation of media worldwide at this time of pandemic, which is, as I said, impacting the entire world. Coverage is not international right now. So under the cover of this basically media lockdown, if you like, Israel has chosen to use that period of time to intensify its process of ethnic cleansing in the Palestinian territories. It's an opportunity for them.
When you hear reports of what Israel is doing, to the Palestinians during a pandemic, what does this tell us about the nature of the regime?
Well, that in itself is the proof of the fact that as far as this criminal Israeli regime is concerned, its Palestinians are subhuman. They have an almost what I would have referred to as almost a genocidal approach to the entire Palestinian population. So basically what we see is when you close down clinics, when you arrest specialists, when you make it a serious attempt to see that the pandemic actually is out of control as far as the Palestinians are concerned, that is because the Israeli regime wants to see as many Palestinians die as possible. And from that perspective, I think that we can it's no exaggeration to call this a genocidal approach to ethnic cleansing.
Right. And Tel Aviv has especially intensified its aggression in occupied Jerusalem, al-Quds, including house demolitions. In your opinion, is this all part of Tel Aviv's strategy to eliminate a Palestinian state?
Absolutely. There's no there's no doubt at all about that. We consider that traditionally Palestinian claims to a viable independent Palestinian state were based on, among other things, but principally al-Quds as the capital of a Palestinian state. This basically is the culmination of a whole process to remove Palestinians from al-Quds that started years ago. It's always been on the plate for the Zionist regime, and that's why they're destroying houses in Silwan. And it's simply part of ethnic cleansing that began 72 years ago. But what we can now realize is that the two-state solution is absolutely dead. And what is to come now will be a one state. And eventually it will be a democratic one state with equal rights for all of its populations, regardless of religious origin. This is part of the evolution that's going to come, whether Netanyahu and company like it or not. So down the road, we'll be calling Netanyahu the father of a democratic one state that may be called Israel-Palestine.
Okay. Thanks for that, Bruce Katz. We'll see how that evolves. Bruce Katz, the co-founder of Palestinian and Jewish Unity, joining us on Palestine Files. Now, stay where you are, because we're going to take a short break and be right back with the rest of the show. Palestinians are already suffering financially from the coronavirus pandemic.
هذا الوباء أدى إلى إغلاق صحي، أدى بالتالي إلى إغلاق تجاري كامل. يعني الإغلاق التجاري اللي كان مفروض ولا زال على القدس سبب فراغ القدس نهائيا، وضع أصبح يعني مأساوي. يعني لا تجد أناس في الشوارع بتاتا، القدس فارغة تماما.
As Israel has neglected its obligation as an occupier to protect the Palestinians from COVID-19, Palestinians who are trying to make ventilators to save patients are struggling to do so because of Israeli restrictions.
Of course, there was this problem. Where are going to find the parts needed for this ventilator in order to produce it in large numbers?
On the other hand, as parts of the Al-Aqsa Mosque vicinity opened for Eid holidays marking the end of the month of Ramadan, worshippers attending the holy site were once again brutally assaulted by Israeli troops. Reports say the regime's forces beat Palestinians of all ages. Israeli settlers escorted by the regime's army raid the Al-Aqsa Mosque on an almost daily basis and perform rituals inside its yards, while the Israeli army limits access to Muslim worshippers on a regular basis. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is Islam's third holiest site. Joe Catrone from the International Solidarity Movement is our second and final guest for this episode. Joe, welcome. Many thought Israel might bring down a notch or two the severity of its occupation, yet it has only intensified. What impression were you under?
Israel sees the current situation as advantageous for it and helpful to its project of colonization for a couple of reasons. One, of course, is United States President Donald Trump and his deal of the century, which, while it's incoherent and seems to have little real content, has certainly opened up an opportunity for Israel to push forward in its ongoing project of colonization, ethnic cleansing, occupation, and apartheid. Another is the acquiescence of the reactionary Arab governments in the region, which are deferring in full to the United States on this and forging new ground in their normalization of relations with Israel.
And it seems that some settlers and soldiers are intent, absolutely intent, on having the Palestinians catch the coronavirus. Why would they do such a thing?
Well, Israel's behavior certainly makes clear that it has little interest in combating the coronavirus within the occupied Palestinian community. If anything, it's doing what it can to spread the virus and impede the Palestinian response. These new military activities are simply part of its ongoing project to control the territory and repress Palestinian resistance to Israel's military rule.
What do you make of the fresh arrest campaign?
With these new arrests, as well as in Israel's ongoing detentions of Palestinian leaders stretching over decades, figures like Ahmed Sadat, like Khalid Jarrar, we see a clear attempt to fragment the Palestinian movement and weaken and impede a Palestinian response to Israel's colonization. In this case, Israel is seeking to divide Palestinians under its rule in Jerusalem from those elsewhere in the West Bank, and to prevent an effective response to its escalated project of colonization there, its new settlements, and its ongoing attempts at annexation.
And the expansion of settlements, the closures of vital institutions, it seems Tel Aviv is already speeding up the process of annexation.
Absolutely. Israel has made its plans, its designs to annex Jerusalem, which it claimed already in the 80s, but now it sees a new opportunity to strengthen those claims and to reinforce its rule at the expense of Palestinians due to historical factors which have made it much more advantageous for Israel. So that's why we're seeing these new developments.
Okay, Joe Catrone from the International Solidarity Movement, thank you very much for joining Palestine Files. Now, our team spoke to Abdullah Sayyam, the Deputy Mayor of occupied Jerusalem, al-Quds. Here he is.
هذا الاحتلال الذي يغرق في إجراءاته الاحتلالية في صلفه وغطرسته يريد أن يفرض سياسته على المواطن والمؤسسة والحياة العامة في مدينة القدس في ظل هذه الجائحة ليقول نحن هنا. الاحتلال بهذا يعطل الإرادة والقدرة أن تكون هناك خدمة حقيقية للمواطن المقدسي، للمؤسسة المقدسية، خدمة تمكن من مد يد العون بالشكل المطلوب لأن تبقى مستشفياتنا مؤسسات صحية، وأن تبقى جامعتنا مؤسسة مفتوحة تدرس عن بعد أو تدرس ببرامج معينة. هذا الذي يحاول الاحتلال أن يحدث شللا في هذه الحياة المقدسية، شللا معه تتعطل الأمور بحيث لا يمكن لمجتمعنا أن يواصل ما بعد ذلك معركته ودوره في الرباط وحماية القدس من الاحتلال. هذا ما يريد الاحتلال من خلال إصراره على أن يرى في كل شيء نقوم به أنه معارض لسيادته وسلطته. المسألة في مدينة القدس أن هناك نقص حاد في عدد الشقق التي يحتاجها المقدسي. قبل هذه الجائحة كان هناك احتياج إلى أكثر من 25,000 وحدة سكنية. هذه الوحدات السكنية في مدينة القدس هي وحدات ضيقة، الغرفتين تمثلان وحدة سكنية كاملة يعيش فيها أكثر من 7 أشخاص. هذا الاكتظاظ في مدينة القدس إضافة إلى الإجراءات المعقدة التي تعيشها الحياة اليومية في مدينة القدس تجعل من الاختلاط مسألة كبيرة جدا. فالحياة معطلة في إطار الحاجة إلى المباني المقدسية، الحياة معطلة في إطار أن هناك لا يوجد إمكانية للبناء، لا يوجد إمكانية للتوسع. هذا الظرف الصعب الذي يعيش المواطن المقدسي يزيد من احتمالات إصابة المواطن ونقل العدوى إلى آخرين. هذا الاحتلال الذي يستغل هذه الظرف، هذه الجائحة، من أن يعلن عن نيته ضم أجزاء من الضفة الغربية والإجراءات التي تتم في مدينة القدس لبسط السياسة والهوية. يريد أن يغير هوية مدينة القدس العربية الإسلامية المسيحية إلى هوية الأسرلة والتهويد. هو لا يترك فرصة ولا ظرفا صعبا أو غيره إلا ويريد أن ينفذ برامج خطيرة على مدينة القدس. فكان أولى بهذا الاحتلال في ظل تشارك الإنسانية جمعاء في التكاتف والتوحد صفا واحدا من أجل الحماية ومواجهة الكورونا، أن يكون جزء من هذا الصف الإنساني، لا أن يستمر بوجهه الاحتلالي القبيح يبسط ويمارس سلطات احتلالية بشعة على مدينة القدس والآن على الضفة الغربية وباقي أرجاء فلسطين.
So here's a summary of the latest that's occurring on the ground as Israel is intentionally continuing to neglect occupied Jerusalem al-Quds. It has also shut down 2 COVID-19 testing facilities there. It has arrested Palestinian officials, including the governor of Jerusalem al-Quds. The Palestinians have warned that these actions are putting Palestinian citizens at risk of catching the deadly coronavirus. And if that's not enough, Israeli courts just approved more home demolitions to settle in more Israelis on Palestinian territory. All this is happening while the global coronavirus pandemic rages on. Our team dug up news items from around the world that have covered these developments. Here are a few of them. As countries around the world are busy taking care of a pandemic not seen before in modern times, the regime in occupied Palestine has not lost an opportunity to carry out some horrific crimes against Palestinians. And as part of its annexation plans in the occupied West Bank, Tel Aviv has cracked down on occupied Jerusalem al-Quds the hardest. Thank you for watching this episode of Palestine Files, and see you next week.